We obviously are closely monitoring what is an unfolding and ongoing disaster in Pakistan. The weather is again troublesome, and the situation there is going to get worse before it gets better. And we are going to announce an additional $20 million in assistance to Pakistan. With the details on that, we'll turn it over to Mark, and then both he and Dan can briefly answer any additional questions you have about the current situation on the ground.
PJ, thanks very much. Good afternoon, everyone. As PJ said, today we're announcing an additional $20 million in humanitarian assistance from the United States for the flood-affected citizens of Pakistan, bringing our contribution to date in monetary terms to $55 million. It's important to note that because this disaster is so vast, and we're seeing how vast more every day as we get access to areas and as the flood spreads, our contribution may well grow as we get better insight, as I said, into the scope. The weather has been the big problem in terms of getting out and getting a sense of how big a challenge we have ahead of us, we and the Pakistani government and the rest of the international community. Today was actually a good day. Our helicopters were able to fly today. They moved about 100,000 pounds worth of humanitarian commodities and transported more than 700 Pakistanis out of some of the remote areas that were cut off to areas where they can get some medical attention that they need. Last week when we met with you, we told you that the beginning of USAID's efforts was focused on NGOs that had already been in the Swat Valley and the Malakand Valley because of the IDP crisis last year, and what we were doing to add resources to those organizations so that they could expand their efforts to take on the flood. What we're going to be doing with this additional money is, just as the flood is moving south, we are going to move south. We are going to expand those activities with new organizations and existing organizations that we've been supporting so that they can move their activities as the flood goes south, so they will be following it. We will be using, again, members of the international humanitarian community through mechanisms that USAID and the Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance have in place just for disasters like this so that we can move quickly. We're also going to be using Pakistani NGOs that have particular access to parts of the country where we have not been active before, and we are reaching out to them now so that they can join our response effort. The disaster assistance response team that USAID mobilized at our embassy in Islamabad is growing. We're sending more humanitarian experts almost every day. The size of the team now will be up to 11 by the end of the week. And then finally, let me just say, in terms of giving contributions from the American public, let me just remind you what Secretary Clinton talked about last week when she pulled out her cell phone and demonstrated how you can text message to give $10 to the UNHCR effort. We also encourage the American public to go to USAID's website and click on the flood response, and you will see there links to the websites for the major NGOs that are working there, all of whom would gladly receive private contributions at this point to add to the effort. Thanks very much. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Mark. I just wanted to amplify as well from Ambassador Holbrook's office how dire the situation is, and the fact that this additional $20 million, thereby bringing the U.S. financial commitment up to $55 million at this point, in addition to all the military assistance that's currently being provided with lift, with food supplies, with other deliveries, is a sign of our continuing commitment as this drama continues to unfold. And I think it's very important to note that it's not just an immediate humanitarian crisis. It is that. And you've heard from Ambassador Holbrooke and Secretary Clinton and Administrator Shah, 14 million people are already affected. Millions could be homeless. And so the immediate repercussions are dramatic, and yet almost more importantly is the fact that this is very much a medium to longer term issue. with food security, with the economic infrastructure, and with needs that will be ongoing for many months, if not years. We've seen reports of food prices quadrupling at this point, hundreds of roads and bridges washed out, the current agricultural crop being destroyed without the ability to plant for next year, and this situation has not yet crested, both literally and figuratively. We will have to see as the waters come south whether the infrastructure holds, the dams and other aspects of road work. We'll have to see how it affects the Sindh province and others with the Indus swelling. And this could still get very worse in the immediate short term, and then we were left with a very, very dramatic long-term problem. And the international community is starting to come together. We expect to see a UN plan very shortly, which the international community can start feeding into. But we are doing everything we can with the government of Pakistan to make sure that the U.S. response is as robust and aggressive and proactive as possible. You've seen on our consolidated press statements and fact sheets every day. Yesterday's ended with how Americans can give, including some specific websites, which through the Tech SWAT campaign, through other mechanisms, we are hoping to continue to raise as much money from Americans as possible. And we're particularly targeting the business community that may have investments and involvement in Pakistan, the Pakistan diaspora community, the Pakistan American diaspora community, local and international NGOs, and this campaign is still at its very beginning stages, but this additional $20 million shows the degree of U.S. commitment there.